conflict, man. Conflict resolution. Let's take a look here, man. We have issues with Colombia. Donald Trump is one of the issues he ran on was deportation. Illegal immigration in this country will be dealt with, and he is dealing with it, man. So let's take a look, man. What's going on between President Donald Trump and Colombia?
President of Colombia quickly caving to Trump's demands to accept deportation flights of illegal Colombian nationals after refusing 2 flights on Sunday. First, the president of Colombia refuses the flight. Then Trump announces that if Colombia does not accept the flights, a 25% tariff on all goods is coming into the United States will be placed on Colombia. And that tariff will increase to 50% after 1 week's time. Trump also proposed a travel ban and an immediate visa revocation on Colombian government officials, allies, and all supporters. Colombia now has agreed to all of Trump's terms, including taking back all illegal migrants deported out of the United States. The country's foreign minister and ambassador are expected to be in Washington today for high-level meetings. Liz, wow, your reaction.
Well, it was really taking a bazooka to a night flight, right? What's interesting about this test marketing, if you will, of the sanctions and tariffs threat, Maria, is that we actually have a trade surplus with Colombia. So this is not a country where, like Canada, where they are really going to be devastated, presumably, by tariffs. So this was really more, I think, President Trump getting angry that they had turned these flights away. And basically saying to all our neighbors, look, we are serious about getting rid of criminals that are in our country that come from your country. You're going to take them back, and there is no discussion about it. So it was, was this sort of overreach by the president? Maybe, but guess what? It got the job done, and I think that is, as I say, sort of a template going forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's a litmus test, right, Cheryl?
Yeah.
I mean, because if this did not go well, others would have gotten a different message. Now, pretty much all the people who are dealing with Trump on tariffs are receiving this message.
Well, the message is he is serious. This is not a threat. Remember, last week, Goldman Sachs put out a note that said there was only a 20% chance that the Trump administration would levy these tariffs against Canada and Mexico. But think of that overall message from that group of investment, advisors or Goldman Sachs. They're saying, oh, it's a threat. This is negotiation. You have people like Stephen Miller and Howard Lutnick that are saying, no, these tariffs are real and we're going to put them down. Tariffs first, and then we'll talk later. And so that's why when the Colombia pushback came so fast and furious before we had the discussion about February 1st, this is why. Because the Trump administration is sending that signal. This will be happening. This isn't a joke.
Yeah, right.
And I understand his anger about those flights. It's their citizens. And they're criminals. Take them back. So you know what? That could have made that would have hurt Colombia's exports, by the way, with coffee. And it would, maybe my cup of coffee would have went up 5 cents.
I want to take a look at this, man. Trump threatens tariffs on Colombia. Emergency 25% tariffs on all goods coming into the U.S. In 1 week, the 25% tariffs will be raised to 50%. Travel ban and immediate visa revocations on Colombian government officials, allies, and supporters. Visa sanctions on all party members, family members, and supporters of Colombian government. Enhanced custom and border protection inspections. Let's see. Of all Colombian nationals and cargo on national security grounds. Let's see. IEEPA, Treasury, banking, and financial sanctions to be fully imposed. See, Donald Trump is not playing around. I've been in supply chain for over 10 years, and I could tell you this: when you're the customer and you buy all of this material, and if you are a big customer, the last thing your vendor wants to do is lose you, okay? Especially if they're number one. So for me, I've always had a number one, and I've had 2 backups. So if something, happens, which it does every now and then, man, something happens with your first vendor, you have to have backups because you can't afford, if you're a manufacturer, you can't afford to have down production lines. And that's a no-no. So if in my case, if you're in charge of multiple locations, you have to make sure that your buyers, your purchasing people, they have to make sure that they have multiple vendors, vetted vendors, man. Make sure those, when the contracts are up, we're putting out RFQs, and we go out and we do inspections. We go out and inspect vendors and make sure that it's going to be a good relationship. You look at this situation here, be detrimental to them not to be in the United States business. United States is, if not their biggest customer, we're probably one of their biggest customers. And I understand that there's trades that go in between the two countries, but the United States is a major player in the world. If they have to go out and find other vendors, they will. This particular vendor, Colombia, your export to the United States, let's say, is coffee. Okay. If we have to find another vendor, another country to go ahead and get coffee beans from, we'll just do it. I think what's the most important, the most important thing here to the United States and to President Trump and the people that voted for President Trump is we need to secure our borders. You can't be in business with the United States and then say, hey, well, we're gonna be okay with our citizens going to your country illegally, and we're not gonna take them back. I'm gonna go ahead and make this stance. Donald Trump made another one. Donald Trump's not to be played with, man. He is not playing games with the people. So let's take a quick look here. This is from Donald Trump's Twitter account, X, formerly known as Twitter. I was just informed that 2 repatriation flights from the United States with a large number of illegal criminals were not allowed to land in Colombia. This order was given by Colombia's socialist president, Gustavo Petro, who is already very unpopular amongst his people. Donald Trump, he gonna put his digs in. Petro's denial of these flights has jeopardized the national security and public safety of the United States. So I have directed my administration to immediately take the following urgent, decisive, retaliatory measures. Emergency 25% tariffs on all goods coming into the United States in 1 week. The 25% tariffs will be raised to 50%. A travel ban and immediate visa revocations on the Colombian government officials and all allies and supporters. Visa sanctions on all party members, family members, and supporters of the Colombian government. Enhanced customs and border protection inspections of all Colombian nationals and cargo on national security grounds. IEEPA Treasury, banking, and financial sanctions to be fully imposed. These measures are just the beginning. We will not allow the Colombian government to violate its legal obligations with regards to the acceptance and return of the criminals they forced into the United States. So remember this: if you come into the United States illegally, if you don't apply for citizenship, if you don't come into the ports of entry, if you don't go through the process to becoming a legal citizen of the United States, to become a citizen of the United States, you are doing it illegal, and that is a crime. So yes, that's a crime if you are here illegally. And let's take a look at AOC. She's a little upset, man. To punish Colombia, Trump is about to make every American pay even more for coffee. So AOC, let me get this right. It is okay to be here illegally and to break the laws of the United States. I mean, you are a servant of the United States. Right? You're a congressperson, congressman, congresswoman. I would imagine you're supposed to have the best interests in the United States, and worried about your coffee. Come on, AOC. The stuff that I've been hearing from you has been absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't even know if you believe half of the stuff that you say. Let's take a quick look at let's look at this next video.
With us now is the former president of Colombia, Ivan Duque. What exactly happened yesterday?
Well, Jose, first of all, thank you for having me here in your show. And I think what we saw was a reckless behavior from the Colombian president, because Colombia has for a long time exercised a common and agreed deportation policy with the United States regarding people in illegality conditions in the U.S. And actually, the two flights that were supposed to arrive to Colombia had a previous permit from Colombian authorities. And all of a sudden, at 3 a.m. in the morning, the Colombian president decided to send a message saying that he will deny the arrival of those planes. And then he enters into an ideological battle with President Trump, sending different kinds of messages and trying to exacerbate the situation. And obviously, what he got in response was a clear application of sanctions that could have destroyed the Colombian economy within weeks. Fortunately, I think the Colombian officials that saw how this crisis was unfolding decided to push back inside the administration, and finally Colombia accepted the deportation into terms and conditions that the U.S. had set. But let me say something. Just last year, Colombia received more than 14,000 deportations from the U.S. without any major problem. So I think this was a real reckless behavior, trying to exercise some kind of political attention.
I agree with this gentleman. So this is the former president, if I'm understanding this correctly, of Colombia. And I think he said it perfectly. This right here was just political bravado. Oh, I'm going to stand up to the big bad wolf, Donald Trump. I'm going to stand up to him and I'm going to look like some type of hero. No, you're not going to look like a hero when Donald Trump places these tariffs on your country, and Donald Trump decides, hey, maybe we shouldn't be in the Colombia business. Because first and foremost, one of the very important things that he ran on, deportation of illegal immigrants. This you have the United States, who, like I said before, is probably your biggest customer. If we're not your biggest customer, we are definitely one of them. Why in the world would you want to damage that business relationship with the United States? What the United States is saying here is correct. These people are illegal. They're illegal. We are actually putting them on our plane and taking them to you. This is costing us money to deport these people. Now, what you need to do is you need to go ahead and take your own citizens back. So you're seeing that the former president of Colombia is saying it, and the current president of Colombia changed his mind. He sees that Donald Trump is now playing games. He not out here playing games. Donald Trump says, no, man. Listen, I don't got time for y'all. I got time for some stuff. I got time for the tariffs, but I ain't got time for your BS. So shout out to Donald Trump, man. Promises made, promises kept.
Worldwide, but I think it went very bad for Colombia. And fortunately, I think now it's a little bit calm, just because the Colombian administration decided to fully accept the conditions of the deportation set by the U.S.
And, Mr. President, those 14,000 deportees last year that were received by Colombia of its citizens being deported from the United States was under the current president of Colombia's term. It's not like there's a change.
But let me say this, Jose. Let me say this. The U.S. has deported people to Colombia for decades. And there has always been institutional agreements to allow those deportations to take place. And as I said, last year, and it was still in the Petro administration, they received 14,000 and nothing was said. It was all managed through the institutional challenges. But let me also put something into consideration. We have been receiving from Mexico, for example, massive amounts of deportations and at the same time inadmissions. And nothing has been said by President Petro regarding the Mexican administrations, neither the Lopez Obrador and now the Sheinbaum.
So that's interesting. This is the former president of Colombia, and he's saying that they are getting a lot of deportations from Mexico, and nothing's being said. No pushback, no nothing. Mexico deports the Colombian citizens back. Colombia has no problem. So this just tells me this is more political theater. This guy is, and then it backfired. It made him look bad. I think that he probably didn't believe that Donald Trump would do the things that he said that he would do. Donald Trump is not playing these games. You want to hurt people, hurt them in the pocketbook. We're the United States. Wow, we're very, very important to a lot of these countries. We do a lot of business with you. If you want to continue doing business with you, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't allow your citizens to come over here, or you can't purposely release people that are criminals and then allow them to come over to our country. Man, you're basically stabbing us in the back. And then if you refuse to take your citizens back, that really tells us that you don't value us as a customer. You don't value our business relationship. So we need to go ahead and make tariffs so high that maybe it ends business deals. And we find, like I was saying before, when you're in supply chain, when you're purchasing, you have other vendors. You go take that business elsewhere. You don't want our business? Fine. We'll go ahead and give it to someone else. I've heard Donald Trump say this many, many times, and I agree with him. You need America more than America needs you.
Clearly, what he tried to do here was try to gain some attention and trying to enter into an ideological battle based on prejudice at a cost that would have been horrendous for the Colombian people. So this just shows this pattern of reckless behavior that is putting on a permanent basis our economy and our people into difficult situations, stress situations, and even the possibility of people to lose everything.
I want to ask you about the president of the United States' reaction, not just yesterday, but President Trump has said he may impose tariffs on Mexico and Canada as soon as this next Saturday. That's despite the free trade agreement he negotiated during his first term with the United States, Mexico, and Canada. What would you tell the leaders of Mexico and Canada?
I believe that trade is a great instrument if it is managed in the right way and if it's a win-win situation. But I also believe that, in particular in the case of Mexico, what the U.S. wants in return is to have a really strict policy against narco trafficking and also putting an end to the massive amount of illegal migration that is taking place in the U.S. southern border. Now, in those negotiations, I think if Mexico takes a great responsibility and really enters into what everybody expects, which is to tackle the criminal behavior of their cartels and also contributes to reduce the pressure in the southern border, I think they can build a very clear agreement with the U.S. The case with Canada is much different. It's more complex. And I don't think this is the main issue of discussion, because this is also related to trade policies, migration policies that have been there for decades. And as you know, it has multiple nuances that have to be defined bilaterally. But I think in particular in the case of Mexico, if Mexico continues supporting the Mexican cartels by not enforcing the spirit of law and order, and if it doesn't do what they really have to do in terms of deter the massive pressure in the U.S. southern border, I think the U.S. is going to use tariffs as a way of leveraging the negotiation.
I think if you want to continue to do business with the United States, you're going to have to play ball. What the United States is doing is strengthening its borders. It is deporting people who are here illegally. So that's against the law. So when these people sit up here and they say, hey, our coffee is our price of our coffees is going to go up. Look, our coffee prices are through the roof anyway. If the prices go up more, maybe we should stop going and buying coffee. Maybe that's what we should do. My security of my country and my fellow citizens is more important than coffee beans from Colombia. Sorry, not sorry, man. So if the Colombian president, he saw that. I mean, he looked at it and goes, you know something? I have to do what's in the best interest of my country. And the Americans aren't wrong. Donald Trump's not wrong. You know, I need to go ahead and send my plane. I guess he sent it as his personal plane or whatever to go pick up his citizens and bring them back. So Donald Trump ain't playing games with y'all, man. Man, you F around, find out.